So let me tell you a secret. Once you go out and you start catching some fish and you enjoy having fish, you can start ditching school and just go fishing. How's that sound? Would you rather go fishing or go to school?
Fishing.
Yeah, boy. I'm kidding. You don't ditch school, ever.
Never.
It's important.
Maybe you could be a fisherman later, after
right.
you're done school. What do you
Once
think?
you get educated, then you can become a fisherman like me. He's like, educated?
He was
You
saying
could drive this, couldn't you?
to me yesterday that he knew more fish than you.
Oh, yeah?
Challenge.
You want to go at it, kid? We'll start naming them.
He
Go for
said
it.
Jay knows a lot of fish, but
I really
know more
don't.
fish.
What type of fish do you know?
What type of fish do I know?
Yeah.
There's one thing I know for sure, and that's that I can outfish Javier. Javi doesn't know how to catch fish, but he calls himself a fisherman. So if you catch one fish, you're going to already be a better fisherman than Javi. That's not going to be hard, is it?
And I got sent straight to a hospital, and essentially I had an infection that was very, very close to being in my bone and traveling all the way up my leg, which I could have gone septic. And
Wow.
they had to remove all the skin off the back of my foot. I had to repeatedly go for every couple days to appointments to deal with that infection, and that changed a lot
Yeah.
in basic, for sure. Yeah, I ended up, when I was in the hospital, getting the chance to call my parents and just let them know what was going on. So I called, and let's just say my dad, Mr. Lieutenant Colonel, was not very impressed with the Army at that moment, that
Yeah, I can imagine.
they had pressured me not to take care of myself.
Yep.
And so he ended up calling one of the head people at my base. And so when I got picked up from when I got picked up from the hospital, I was not treated very nicely for a little bit of time by one of my drill sergeants. I got called out in the chow hall in front of a whole row of drill sergeants for me telling my dad, and that my dad got them in trouble.
Oh, no.
And yeah, so I had a lot to recover from
Yeah.
to prove myself, and it took me down a few notches, I'll say. My confidence wasn't really the same anymore. I didn't feel like they had my back. And it just, yeah, I struggled from then on out.
Originally, I was in high school, and I was a little bit of a trouble kid. I just got myself in trouble here and there. Nothing crazy. Never went to jail. Maybe arrested a time or two, but nothing crazy. And my parents at the time, I had a stepdad, and he was a little bit more strict and thought that maybe I needed some direction. And so I think he called a recruiter to come over and talk to me to see if I would be interested in joining the Army, I believe it was at that time, to straighten my life out. Probably could have used it at the time, but maybe not the best time in my life to join. I would have maybe done a little too wild of a job or something. I was kind of more young and free. So, who knows, could have been infantry or something like that. I'm kind of glad I didn't go in right at that moment.
So being the Top Gun, I'm assuming that you were excited to become a gunner?
Yeah. This time with a much bigger machine gun, which was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that thing. You can argue that a 50 cal's way cooler. No, 240 Bravo all day. It's amazing. Never jams.
Yeah.
The Old Faithful.
Nice.
So I grew to love that thing like it was my baby, and I knew that when we went out, when that gate opened, and I say, okay, all red up top, which means safety's off, we're going.
Right.
That thing was never going to fail me if I needed it. Luckily, I never needed it. But essentially, we were on the road for 12 hours, and we would go out in the middle of the night so that we traveled overnight We always wanted to go at the dark because one, less cars, less people, less threat. And we would try to make it from Kuwait to the next base in Iraq, and sometimes we would stop multiple places on a mission. And essentially what we did was protect the convoy. So sometimes there would be 50 trucks carrying supplies, trucks, whatever it was, from the port in Kuwait up to the bases in Iraq. So our job was to be the gun trucks that protected that
The
convoy. There was some Air Force guys, they were usually maintenance trucks in the mix. But otherwise it was nationals that were driving supply trucks. They didn't have armor, they didn't have guns, they didn't have protection. So our job was
To be that protection.
to be that protection. So if anywhere along the line the convoy was attacked, the gun trucks would shift and move into place and protect it. We were very fortunate that we never actually had anything severe happen. At least my team didn't. Some of my friends that did the same job in our battalion, it did. Had friends that got hit by IEDs, and luckily they're all okay.
Good.
But we were fortunate. There's close calls for sure, where you think this is it.
Yeah.
This is the moment that one, I'm either going to have to use this thing or I'm dying.
Yeah.
And you have no idea which one or both.
Yep.
But there was a lot of them trying to act like they were pushing us out or scaring us out. I was there during when we were pulling out of Iraq. So essentially, they were starting to do different things that they hadn't
done
been
before.
doing. So we were trying to adapt to that. They were getting children involved in those new things, which brought in a different factor. You see a kid playing with an RC car on the side of the road, and it could be a bomb. You don't know. Or they could just be an innocent kid playing with an
Right.
RC car.
Right.
Which one?
Back in the day, I was smaller. I was scrawny. You can even see in some pictures of me, it was I didn't look the same. But I started to train a little bit before I left, and so I could get ready for basic. Funny, I did fall out of shape for a little while. I had my jaw broken in a bar fight. Again, good thing I went into the military to straighten my life out, because clearly I needed it. But yeah, I got into training. I was 26, I believe, at the time, and more mentally mature than I would have been. And funny enough, more mentally mature than a lot of the people that I went to basic training with, and ended up kind of excelling in a lot of what would be helpful in basic training, physically, mentally, mature, all of that. Became sort of a leader in my in our group and stuff like that, in our flight in basic, with a couple others that were a little bit older than I was. And it helped me a lot. Funny enough, if you were to ask me if I would go back through basic training, I would. I wouldn't. I enjoyed that discipline. I enjoyed the schedule. There were some moments that were tough, but you get a great workout. I was in the best shape of my life. I got a few accolades for being ahead of everybody else as far as fitness goes. I actually almost got one of the best ones that you can get, which is that you max out in all of your PT tests in the final. However, there was a few slow runners in front of me on the track, and I really couldn't pass them. It was a stupid rule that they had. But I think I missed it by like 10 or 15 seconds as far as the run goes. But maxed out push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, all of that. And even into AIT, I really took fitness as my way to kind of keep myself busy. People either went that route, or they went out and partied on the weekends, or they would just eat too much. And people actually got kicked out of the military in that, because they were used to not having to eat or not being able to eat rather in basic. And then there's all this fast food and all this stuff. And I took a different route, went straight into fitness. Would call Danay obviously every day that I could. And there was actually a point, and it's hard to believe, but one of the TIs was watching me during a PT test because he couldn't believe the scores that I had as far as push-ups go. And he said, "I'm going to watch you because I don't think that you're doing them properly," because it was a high score that I had, or high amount, and I ended up doing 90 in 60 seconds that time, which was pretty good. I beat everybody else, and he walked away a little disgruntled because I think that he was trying to catch me in a lie or something. But now back, fast forward, I'm still trying to stay in that shape. I always look back, and whenever I have fitness goals, I look back to if I can get to somewhere close to I was after basic training, I'll be happy. And I know that's not a possibility being almost 40 now, but it's a good goal to have.
What was it like being a female gunner?
So I was the only female gunner in my team.
Okay.
There were 2 other females. They were both the gun truck drivers.
Okay.
So we did have 2 other females on my team. But it's kind of just trying to hold your own.
Yeah.
And literally hold your own and your weapon, because that thing is not light.
Yeah.
And I'm lugging that thing around. It's basically the size of me. And I have the barrel bag, so you have 2 extra barrels in a barrel bag, and then I have my rucksack and I have my whatever else, right?
Yeah.
And so just the physical aspect of I'm 5'1", with a weapon that weighs 26.7 pounds, I think, and then all the other stuff. It was physically demanding, but at the same time, it was awesome. Like, yeah, I mean, how many 5'1" girls get to say that,
Right.
So you get both sides of it.
Do you feel like you were respected, at least from your team, being a female?
For the most part, yeah, my team for sure. My team was awesome. My leaders in my direct team were amazing. They were very supportive. My truck commander, I'll give him a shout out, Fitton. I don't think anybody could be more empowering to having a female gunner. And he's like, "I got the best shot in the battalion as my gunner. This is awesome."
That's so cool.
So yeah, there were some leaders that definitely
Questionable.
did not treat females as equals.
Yeah.
So you get both sides of it. I had very drastic in both directions.
I went in for crew chief in the Air Force. Essentially, it's the aircraft maintainer. Some of them are a little bit more dedicated to the aircraft. Some just do general maintenance. I was in what they call the inspection dock when I got back to Pease. But I excelled really well in that field, having that mechanical background, working on cars with my dad when I was younger. Being a little older, being a little bit more mature, going through the training, I had more focus. So I excelled. I was top of the class for my training, and then came back to Pease, which is where the National Guard base that I was assigned to. Being one of the busiest in the entire country as far as what we did with the KC-135s, the tankers, there was a lot of work to be done there. And they had, I think, 8 jets at the time. They were always doing cycles, going and refueling. So a lot of my work really was just there. We didn't have to go and do a whole lot of missions and things like that. There were deployments to Qatar, Guam, and stuff like that that I didn't necessarily have to join. There's plenty of people that wanted to go on those. Just didn't align with the timeline in my family and stuff like that. And looking back, I would have loved to potentially, but wasn't a requirement. But yeah, it was fun working on the aircraft. Met a lot of really great people. I learned a lot. It's funny when you get on an airplane now, commercial aircraft and stuff like that, you hear all those crazy noises and things that are happening. I know exactly what's going on, and some people are a little bit concerned, or the plane stops, you're sitting on the runway, they say something that's going on. It's really not a big deal if you look at it, from the perspective that I have working on those aircraft.
When we were overseas, I had the majority that were supportive of the women in the unit and treated them as equals, but I did have one leader who was not as supportive, or he seemingly was, but then when it came down to it, the actions didn't align with that. So, for example, when we were out on missions, we wore these different types of tops. So instead of the zip-up top that you're used to with the shirt underneath, they were more of a spandex style shirt that was more form-fitting, lightweight, and you would wear it under your vest. So we would wear those on missions. The rule was that you weren't allowed to wear those when you're not on a mission.
Okay.
Okay, simple. But then we had just gotten back from a mission, so we've been gone for a week, whatever it was, and I have my 240 Bravo on one shoulder, my barrel bag, and all my other bags, so I am fully loaded with stuff. And we're walking back from our trucks. We had just parked them in the motor pool, and that leader came out and saw us wearing those shirts. And 1, 2, 3, the 3 females in my team got called into the office because our shirts, we were wearing our shirts that we weren't supposed to be wearing on a, when not on a mission. However, we had just gotten in from a mission and hadn't had a chance to change, but apparently we were supposed to stop everything. And the first thought was supposed to be put on that top over it, right? So when we got pulled into the office, I said to my first sergeant and my captain that they were going to want to hear this conversation because I was not having it.
Yeah.
And I ended up going off on my sergeant and my staff sergeant at the time, and he did not understand that what he was doing was making us unequal, right? He was only calling out the females for wearing a shirt that all of the guys in my unit, my team, just walked by in the same thing, and he did not say a word to them. And that was the problem. How are you going to say that we're equal and that I can do the same job as you? Actually, I was doing more because I'm out on the road, right? And that I can't wear this shirt, but the guys can.
Right.
And so I made it known to my captain and my first sergeant that that wasn't going to fly. My first sergeant was amazing. He had a daughter that was not much younger than me, and he was fully supportive. And I don't know what happened behind that closed door, but yeah, he had a conversation. And then from there, when we got back home after deployment, it continued, where there was moments where we were treated very unequally, but it wasn't intentional, but it was happening. And for example, we went out to the field to do training, and there's 8-person tents. We all help each other set them up. My whole unit's there. And I noticed that all of the females were shoved in one tent. There was more than 8 of us. And then I walked around, and there's guys that have 2 to a tent with a TV in it. And I'm thinking, hold on a second. Why are our cots this far apart trying to fit everything in this 8-person tent with more than 8 of us, but the guys have a whole tent to themselves? So again, at that point I was promoted to sergeant, so I felt like I had a little bit more. I had to protect the females, right? So I went up and I fought for the females, and we got another tent. We kicked the guys out and took one, and we split up and had some space. But it just, I kind of made it my mission at that point to make sure that the women in the unit were treated equal, and we're doing the same thing. We should be treated the same, and
Absolutely.
there should be no difference.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I proceeded for the rest of my time in the military, was making sure that the females in my unit were taken care of, and that they learned that behavior, and just stick up for yourselves. You're doing the same thing. You're wearing the same uniform. You should be treated the same.
The military really did set me up for success in a lot of ways. It mentally put me in a place where I knew I was more capable, or rather capable of doing more, and had a lot of confidence in myself, accelerated my career. It made me realize that I could be a good leader in any aspect. And, thanks to Danay really for kind of pushing me towards that, because I wouldn't be where I am today without her in a lot of ways, but without, you know, my career, the where we're at here, in this beautiful spot, with a beautiful kid, and all of that. So it really did put me in a whole different place in my life, from where I probably was going. Honestly, I didn't know where I was going. So to say that the military and everything set me up for a lot of success throughout my career, a lot of discipline that I see others don't have, and focus and drive, you know, it really did a lot.